Spurs kept their miserable season alive with a 1-0 win in Frankfurt last night to reach the semi-finals of the Europa League. It takes a little bit of pressure off Big Ange, who came out fighting afterwards, claiming the performance showed the players are still behind him. But of course, Jamie O'Hara was having none of it.
I can't say I agree with much of what he just said there. I mean, because I know for a fact that the fans have gone. I mean, they were all wanting him out. He's going to go. You know, I've had people messaging me.
He's not referring to the fans, though. He's got the players.
The players, I mean, they haven't shown any belief, have they? I mean, apart from tonight, really and truthfully, it was the first time I've seen a decent, performance in terms of being dogged and resilient. Frankfurt were terrible. But let's not get carried away here. Ange Postecoglou, it's been a disaster of a season. Disaster. The performances in the Premier League, we could finish 17th. It's absolutely, it's atrocious season.
Okay, there's no getting away from the fact he's right in terms of the Premier League season. Yeah, it's been terrible. They're 15th currently and have struggled in numerous games this season. But I think that James Maddison collision, being clattered by the keeper that led to the penalty, that's kind of the commitment, the sort of fight that they showed last night, that maybe they are still believing in Ange, maybe?
Yeah, and well, if you score goals, you're a goal scorer. You do get in situations where you think, oh, here we go, ball cross is coming in between me and the keeper, or through ball between me and the keeper. You've got to be brave enough.
But there might be some that, if you're not believing in a manager, might pull out.
Pull out. Yeah, but it was brave going in there. He knew he was going to get splattered.
Yeah.
But no, I can't help saying you're starting to name their team now. This full strength team. He's had so many injuries, and I know it's boring for people talking about injuries, but it's the main cause of getting sacked. They haven't got the money to compete with the top 3 or 4. So when they start going into the squad and they've got young lads playing him, I mean, Gray, young lad they signed from Leeds, Archie. They paid a lot of money for him, but you can see he's going to be a top player. He's playing centre back in the Premier League.
What's great about him is that versatility now.
Yeah, but he's learning the job.
Yeah, which is not easy. Of course it's not. But they're hoping then that they might be able to mould him into a player that eventually can have that versatility.
But he is going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Young lads make mistakes. At the back, if you've got a young lad up front, then it don't cost you. It's in a different way, I suppose, a little bit. But at the back, young defenders will cost you. But I understand 15th position in the Premier League is unacceptable for Spurs, but Ange, he just needs to keep winning games now. He'll survive. If they keep winning and winning and winning, next year he'll get everybody fit on the pitch, give him another go. By the way, weren't that long ago watching Conte's team.
I know.
Horrendous to watch. So the fans, I think they want him to do well, but they've had enough.
Yeah, I think the fans have been used to season upon season of late just being a disappointment. Let's bring in the thoughts of Spurs content creator Abbi Summers, who joins us this morning. Good morning to you, Abbi. How are you doing?
Morning, Abbi.
Morning, guys. How are you both?
Very good.
Very, very well. First of all, what did you make of that performance then last night?
Well, in all honesty, compared to how the season's been, I mean, I can only really be happy this morning, can't I? Because it's rare that we get a win. It's even rarer that we don't concede a goal. So I can only be happy. And of course, we're into a semi-final. But just listening to what you guys were saying, I mean, the season has been so terrible. It's hard to find any type of positive. And he lives to see another day. There I was thinking that Andrew would be getting his P45 this morning, and he's still in a job. So I was very much still Ange, and I kind of understood the whole injury situation. I wanted to wait until everyone was back to see if we had improved. But kind of the Chelsea game was the turning point for me when I saw just the lack of desire in that level of a derby. I just had to switch after that. I just thought this probably isn't going to be the man to take us forward. But if he goes and wins the Europa League, then he will have served his purpose, because he said he always wins things in his second season, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I mean, next season, if he can survive, and next season you got Daniel Levy, get your checkbook out, and you're going to buy players that suits Ange's style of football. So the back 4 have got to be quick. Front 3 got to be able to press. Midfield player have got to be able to close down. And obviously Maddison doesn't get a game sometimes because he's not a sort of a dogged type of midfield player. But I think injuries have killed him as a manager. I like Ange, mate. He's getting a bit... His interviews are getting worse and worse. But I like him. I think he's a character. And if he leaves the Premier League, I think we'll all miss him.
Yeah, I might not miss him so much at my club. It's strange because obviously I do actually quite like him, and I like that he's quite honest, and I actually don't mind him being prickly after games with the media, because in all honesty, if you've lost 17 games in the Premier League, I don't expect you to be bouncing around and happy. I just don't necessarily think that, quality or not quality, I don't know if his style of football is really cut out for the Premier League. I think it is so high intensity. You've got to continuously press. The amount of injuries do have to be connected a little bit probably to the way in which they play. I'm not putting all the emphasis on him. I think that squad, it's a disgrace that they are 15th in the table, could potentially finish lower than that. There has to be some accountability on them, which I would have said under Conte or Jose or any other manager that came before. Daniel Levy putting his hand in his pocket to sign, players that are of the calibre and of the quality to come in and help those young players in the squad is probably not something I'm going to realistically see. That's not really how he does it. I think we've got really good young players there. Someone like a Gray, as you guys touched on. Lucas Berger, I think, is some player. Really like Jed Spence. Obviously, Kulusevski as well. There are good players there. It's just I don't think there's enough quality. We don't have that world-class player anymore. And actually, I think it, in a way, did us a favour last night that Son was out, because it allowed us to use someone like Matisse Tell, who is obviously a little bit more direct these days, has a little bit more about him rather than, what Son has become. Doesn't mean that he's not a great player and was a great servant for Spurs, but you just see that if you're still starting a 33-year-old Son, you can see the drop-off between the player that we had to now.
It's not unheard of that a manager can win a trophy and still lose his job. So do you think even if he was to go all the way and win the Europa League, that there still could be a change in the summer?
Yeah, I can't foresee him being there this time next year. I can't see him being there at the start of the season. And I really wanted it to work. I really, really did, because at Spurs, you're changing manager pretty much every 18 months, and it's not good. Spurs' best period of time was when we had stability under Pochettino, and I'd love that to be replicated, and I thought it could be under Ange. But if you start the season the same way, and also we weren't terrible at the start of the season, but I still wasn't seeing enough that I had done the first 10 games of when he actually joined. So I'd be very, very shocked to see him there. And I think the sample size is big enough to say, even if he did win the Europa League with us, it's enough to say thank you. But you don't want to be in a situation that United got in with Ten Hag and that you've kept him because he's won you a trophy, and then you end up sacking him and writing off a whole other season.
Abbi, been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, Abbi.
Nice to see you guys.
Great to have you with us. Abbi Summers there, the Spurs content creator and, of course, contributor to talkSPORT as well, we should say.
All's not lost for Spurs, Nat. I think I look at the team and I think top end of the pitch, you've got Son, Kulusevski, Richarlison, Solanke. Midfield, you've got Bergveld, Bentancur, Maddison. If he gets a settle back four, Van der Ven, Romero, Porro and Doggy. Goalkeeper's dodgy, I think, but that's a good... They could give anyone a game if they're all fit. So you're saying
all is not lost for the team. What about Ange?
Well, if he can get that team... fit on the pitch, they will win more games than they lose.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.